Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan talking with Sam Morill, and I told you he was a leftist. He did a segment with Joe Scarborough. I'm kidding. All comedians do this. Right, left, they don't care. It's a way for them to sell tickets. It's something that you gotta do. You can always opt out of it, but Joe Rogan's done it in his younger days. Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer. Every comic does it if they get the offer. Usually their manager gets them the spot. They do that. They fill up whatever show they're trying to do in New Jersey or, wherever, Milwaukee, whatever they got to do, they do it. And apparently Sam had to do this on Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough. And Joe Scarborough laughed a little bit at Sam's stuff where he could, because, Joe has some overlords around him that don't allow him to just laugh at just anything. But I think he didn't laugh as hard as Sam wanted him to, because Joe Scarborough is the biggest joke on television. So he was like, you think your stuff's good? Wait till you hear me talk about defending democracy. That's what I think's going on here. So this is a fun little clip to listen to. And anytime I have a chance to go in on Joe Scarborough, I takes it. So I'm going to be showing you some clips of Joe Scarborough doing some of his best bits about Trump executing people. And then I'm going to show you a little segment that I like to call, I did it on the other channel, I'm going to do it here too, the many faces of Joe Scarborough, just going back and forth on Biden, because if you didn't know, today we celebrate Joe Biden backed out of the race. Dropped out of the race. Let's get into it, starting with the Joe Rogan clip.
Some benefits that were fun and they were good, but I've also done some that maybe go, I'm never doing one of these again. This is just not worth doing. I think comedy should only be in a comedy club. Like when I hear about people doing corporate gigs, I'm like, what are you doing and why are you doing that? I know, but it's not that. Are you going to notice? Like, I do notice if you have, let's say you have $10,000 in your bank account. Do you notice if you have $10,500? You don't.
Wait, who's getting paid $500 for one of those things?
I'm just saying. So if you have, my point was, if you have $10 million in the bank,
right?
Like some people I know that do these fucking things, and you get tortured for $10,000. Like Tony just did one. He got tortured for $10,000. He goes, it was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I go, why'd you do it? He goes, he offered me $10,000, and it was right down the street. So I just did. I go, you're not going to notice that $10,000, but you're going to feel that bomb. You're going to feel that.
You might get a funny story, too. I always think, dude, that's why I do morning TV things. I'm like, it's going to be bad, but it's going to be funny bad.
I'm glad you brought that up because that Morning Joe one was amazing.
Oh, my God. That was hilarious because you know what the funny part is? I wasn't even misbehaving on that one. They just hated me, and it was even funnier. He set me up in a way where he was like, he clearly hasn't watched my shit, which is fine. I know he hasn't, but clearly a producer's a fan of mine, so they're giving him lines from my special to cue me up. So he queued me up for a gun baby joke, and I was like, I'll tell the joke, and I told it, and he just looked at me like,
yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, dude, well, what do you want?
Well, I sent you that stuff on him. That's the guy that was gaslighting us. This is the best Biden ever, and if you don't want it, you don't believe me, F you.
Well, the thing about a lot of those guys is as I said, it's poison, these cable shows, but instead of being sometimes you'll follow a comic and they're like a hack, but they know they're a hack, and they're like, I'm sorry, I just have to go out and do that. And you're like, oh yeah,
right.
Whatever. But he goes on, he acts like all these guys, they go on, they act like they're doing the Lord's work, or they're Edward R. Murrow or something. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, so you're going to do this and think you're there's this type of liberal elitism where it's there's two types of older liberals. There's the type that is an old hippie and is like, oh man, that was cool, you did that shit. And then there's types that look at you like,
well, he wasn't a liberal.
No.
He used to be a Republican.
Yeah.
And then he got on MSNBC.
Yeah, you gotta go with the money, I guess.
Change his panties.
Yeah, but it was that was a weird segment. But I actually
awesome.
I get off on that a little bit. I kind of like when I know it's gonna be bad. I think it's funny because I'm just like, well, it's live. What are they? I can just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
It's funny to me when it goes horribly.
Those are state-run propaganda shows. That's all they are. They're bullshit news distribution,
and I'll happily go back. I do enjoy it. I think
I enjoyed it.
There's something,
I enjoyed watching him react, and it was a great joke.
That's a good bit.
It's a very good bit.
Yeah.
And watching him not respond to that very good bit, I'm like, you can't even admit that that's a good bit.
That's what bums me out a little bit. Is they kind of just fucking smile.
Come on, bro.
I know you're not admitting that. I'm not saying school shootings are okay. I'm just saying this joke works.
Right. It's just a joke.
Sometimes you can just smile at the fun of the joke, but I guess I think of those crowds, and you think of those crowds, you're like, not only do you think I'm shit, You think you're better than me, and I feel it, and that's a bummer.
Well, that position of being that guy in the suit with the fucking makeup on in front of the camera, speaking the truth, that's an intoxicating power position. Good. I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but it must feel all right.
It's an intoxicating power position for those people. You know, they want to be that guy that is the center of the news show, and you know, all the people are waiting for them to talk, and there's all the cameramen, and they're all pointed at him, makes him super important. There's people behind the scenes with clipboards, they're all looking at him.
Yeah,
those idiots like that.
It's funny because the producers were like quoting my bits. They knew who I was, and
they're regular people.
And they were really cool, and so I'm sure that's who gave him that thing. They were like, talk about guns and babies, and I was like, you got it. And I mean, God bless. Even Al Sharpton kind of chuckled at least. I was like, I got something out of him. Even
that's
come
funny.
on, give me something.
Al Sharpton's an old school grifter. He knows a good
old
joke.
School, yeah. Come on.
I mean, that guy's entire career started on a false accusation.
Yeah. Get out there and do the real thing, buddy.
You just see what he looks like now? He's lost like all of his weight. He's like super thin.
Oh, there I am. Wow, I look well. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Disappointed, Sam. I'm not going to lie. But I'm used to that. Wherever I go, I show up at places and people are like, it's very
no, it's earlier in this. This is the end. You got to go.
Watch party.
It's way earlier.
I'll show you Al Sharpton because you said something about him.
No.
Go to the beginning.
The beginning where he sets up the gun joke's the funny one. Hey, they give me a nice plug, though. There's something.
Presidential election, and Sam joins us now. Sam, I got to start with this quote because it's most relevant. It is.
Oh no, not go to past the election here. Yeah, this is whatever. This is just me making a Biden joke or whatever, Trump Biden joke. The next, right there, maybe.
Parallel of guns and babies together, but you do it masterfully. Explain.
Yeah, well, both are easy to hate, but then you hold one, and you're like, I kind of get it, you know.
We laughed at that.
Yeah.
Both annoying on airplanes.
Yeah,
if you're dating someone new and they have either, you're like, it could be a problem. You know, right. and both will be in a school soon.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take a look.
He did not like that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's one that you can't, like, what do you do? What do you even say to that?
Yeah, but you know,
he laughed a little bit. That was more than I thought.
Yeah, a little. Give me a hint.
It wasn't that bad, but Al Sharpton was laughing.
Yeah, because I told him, I was like, I bet you're a Sam Morill fan, just like playfully, and he was like, I bet I could be. Yeah, and then I was like, you know, I brought up the thing about like Anne Frank. When Justin Bieber went to Anne Frank's house and in the sign-in book wrote, I think she would have been a believer. I'm like, that's how I feel about you and me.
Did he say that?
I said that to him.
Did Justin Bieber really do that?
Yeah, he got a lot of shit for that years ago.
Whoa.
Yeah, but come on, we're entertainers. We fucking get it.
How old was he?
He was a baby. He was young.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
The fuck is he supposed to do?
Yeah, he just
figure things out.
He was being shocking. He was in a shocking phase, you know. I think he was like, I think he meant it in like good spirits. I don't think he was like trying to be like F her. I think he was like trying to have fun with it, you know.
Yeah.
But I said that to Al Sharpton. He was like, yeah. He like went with it. I was like, all right.
Well, the thing is, those places are not places for humor. There's no room for humor because they think they're saving the world. It's like, but the world stays, and then you just annoyed everybody your entire career, and you didn't save anything ever. You never changed anybody's opinion. You didn't.
That's why I'm shocked they want me on these shows, because I'll happily go in, but I'm just shocked in there. I'm like, I'm there just like laughing in the green room, like this is gonna be bad. Like I know it's gonna be bad.
They need anything.
But I went on the Ari Melber one once, and he just like would set me up for jokes, and then look at me like, so why is that funny? And I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Because it's a joke. I don't know. Clearly it's not funny. I don't know, you know, but you're just rolling with it.
But there's a big difference between being funny on a talk show in front of a person who's not ready to be laughing and then an audience.
That's why I play to the producers usually. I'm trying to get them laughing. Because then if you hear laughs in the background, it's undeniable. Yeah. But if I'm just bombing for one dude, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, you want to play the camera guys.
Yeah.
The normal people. Camera guys in the grips.
I love doing that shit, though. Yeah. I all my friends are like, you're a psycho for going on morning shows, because like Stavros and Norman are like, I'm not waking up at 7 a.m. to do this. I'm like, I will happily.
You still do it?
Of course. But few will have me. The last one that had me was in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they were like, they knew I do this, so the guy came in the green room and was like fucking with me. I'm in the green room with my friend Gary Veeder. I made him come with me because I'm like, I can't do this. It's like a bank robbery. I need an Uber waiting for me because I need to get right out.
Right.
But the guy was fucking with me in the green room. Like the anchor was like a handsome Mormon guy being like, oh, you're gonna with me? And I looked at Gary like, this guy's got like an edge. I was like, yeah, I guess, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, let's see if you he was like kind of being a dick, and I was like, all right.
Wow.
So then in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna with him. So I went on there, and it was like the week the Diddy broke, and I was like, man, how about that P. Diddy? And he was just like, well, we're not gonna talk about that. And I was like, well, anyway, P. Diddy. I just kept doing it, and he got pissed. And his anchor, the woman was cool as she was laughing, but he just kept being like, well, you'll never be invited back. And
no.
Yeah, and I was like, I had to pretend I was upset that I was never going to be back on Good Morning Salt Lake. I was like, oh no. But then of course after the segment I'm leaving and I'm trying to get out of there with Gary, but all the crew is like stopping me and they're like grabbing me, they're like trying to take selfies because they're like, we all hate him. So I'm like, oh cool.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it was.
You ever see Segura when he used to do DJ Dadmouth?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's like, you know what? It's such a fake type of TV that it's fun for us to go on and just be ourselves.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Man, I promise any of you watching, okay, especially the people who've been following since like 1,000 subscribers, if I ever get the opportunity to go on one of those and it's live morning TV, I will go on the deepest conspiracy, Black Rock, wildest rant you can think of. Oh, I promise you I will. I promise I will. That is a promise. I will not hold back. I will go all out. I will call out them as mainstream media talking heads. I will talk about how they're controlled by agencies. I will go all out. I promise. I pray I get that opportunity one day. But they were talking about Joe Scarborough. You know something? In my research doing this, I was trying to pull up some clips. I stumbled on one. I'm not going to touch on it too much. But the whole, Joe Scarborough, the whole intern thing popped up. And that's crazy because I never heard the story full. But also, as they were talking about it, he was a congressman in Florida. Wow. How things have changed. Could you imagine today this guy a congressman in Florida? Wow. And that's the thing. He's willing to say anything so much that I would bet he would be like a Ron DeSantis. He would be like that guy who was anti-woke. If that he go like this and go, is that how it's blowing in Florida? Okay, let's do it. That's for sure he would have done that. For sure. He'd be right along. These people, they're the type of people who are right along with whatever's going on. That's how they get into these positions. How else do you get into the position where they're like, hey, we'll pay you. This guy, I think I did his salary. He's getting paid $8 million a year. This guy's getting paid $8 million a year. Guy looks like Beaker or Meeper from the Muppets. Looks like Dilbert. He's getting paid $8 million a year. Do you know how crazy that is? Of course he's saying anything. They're like, Joe, we need an anti-Trump rant. He's like, okay, all right. This is crazy. This is crazy. Been at this for 10 years. I've made $80 million. Like that. What? He has 9 figures. He's been doing this a long time. And obviously he hasn't been making that much for that long, but I'm just saying. But yeah, the intern thing is wild. I'm just saying. I'm not gonna touch on it too much. I'm just saying. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying. It's pretty crazy. Anyways, this is him going into some of his best material. Because you think Sam's stuff was funny. Oh, you think Sam's stuff was funny, do you? Oh, well, you haven't seen Joe Scarborough's best work. This is him talking about what Trump's going to do to people. And notice how he talks about how people say you can't compare Trump to Hitler and Nazis and that type of dictatorship. Just keep in mind that he said that for the next clip that I show you. Let's get into it.
Yeah, have a responsibility to really tune out the voices of the haters, of the people that are constantly double
shilling
and triple
for
checking and shilling for him and suggesting that somehow they're being biased, bending over backwards, treating him like a normal candidate. He's not a normal candidate. He is running to end American democracy as we know it. He's an authoritarian who a court in Colorado 2 days ago ruled that he led an insurrection against the United States government. He's charged with leading schemes to help overthrow the United States government. So if they want to frame it that way, that's fine. If you want to be fair, then you will frame this as Joe Biden being the candidate that supports American democracy and Donald Trump, a candidate who supports a new form of government here that's authoritarian. It's really that simple. And by the way, Reverend Al, when people go, oh, you can't compare him to past Nazi leaders, you can't compare him to this past Nazi leader or that past fascist leader, because he hasn't done that. Well, what hasn't he done? He hasn't done the things that the American judicial system did not allow him to do last time, but may very well allow him to do this time, or a judicial system that will be ignored by Donald Trump and ran over by Donald Trump to create the greatest constitutional crisis of our lifetimes. Just because he hasn't done it yet doesn't mean he won't do it when he gets a chance to do it. And if he is voted into office, then a lot of these people that are talking about literal or figurative or whatever the hell they're saying, you're going to look like idiots. Because he will get away with, he will imprison, he will execute whoever he's allowed to imprison, execute, drive from the country. Just look at his past. It's not really hard to read. The only thing that stood between him and the destruction of American democracy was the federal judiciary.
No doubt about it. And I think that when we talk about framing this.
No doubt about it. And I think when we talk about framing, Al Sharpton, oh man. You want to know who's really not with civil rights? Whoever survived without Martin Luther King. If Martin Luther King gets taken out and everybody who is standing next to him is fine after for decades and then is on the mainstream media, hey, guess what? They weren't doing what he was doing. And there's problems with Martin Luther King that I can get into and have gotten into. But just the fact that that guy is still around shows that he sold out. Because if he was really like Martin Luther King, while he's standing beside Martin Luther King, they would have been like, hey, get Al too. Make sure to get Al too. But instead they were like, Al's the one that told us he'd be here. Don't worry. Al's cool. No, Al's cool. No, he was at the meeting. You didn't see him? Big fat black guy? You didn't see him? Oh, well, I'll introduce you. Anyway, Joe Scarborough talking about Trump being allowed. He will execute whoever he's allowed to execute. Hey, man, presidents aren't allowed to just execute people. They're not allowed to just randomly drive people out of the country. They're not allowed to do that. He's like, the only thing keeping him from doing this is the federal judiciary. And listen, it still exists, and they probably still won't allow him. But the thing about it is, they might, because he's a fascist, and you can't they say you can't compare him to this ex-Nazi leader and that ex-fascist. It's absolutely incredible. That whole talking point of, yes, like Joe Scarborough's the only one that's embraced this, and I'll give him that credit. He's the only one who has said he didn't do it before, but he'll do it this time. I don't know why. Look at his past. I mean, if you look at his past of not starting wars and not doing the things that I say he's going to do this time around, I think it's very clear that he's going to do these things. I wish they had to make sense. I wish somebody, just a regular person, was able to say, but what do you mean by that? I wish there was someone to counteract what they were saying. Look at his wife just looking at him like, oh my God. Well, I'll just let him say whatever he's saying. Don't want to end up like that intern. Again, I'm not going to talk about that. Anyway, it's funny that he brought that up about, hey, these people say that you can't compare him to this ex-Nazi leader. Okay. Guess who was the one saying that you can't compare him to that ex-Nazi leader? Him.
Over the past week and a half.
It's important.
And again, a singular manic focus. People continuing to compare Donald Trump to Hitler. People continuing to suggest he has brown shirts around him. People doing the sort of thing to Donald Trump that Republicans did to Barack Obama, which drove me crazy. Barack Obama would name a post office, and a Republican congressman would go to the House floor, Mr. Speaker, tonight, freedom has died. And then the next day, they would name it National Cherry Blossom Picking Week. And somebody go, Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States has once again shown he has no respect for the Constitution and has torn it to shreds. Freedom has died. The hyperbole coming from Republicans has been as maddening as the hyperbole from Democrats while George W. Bush is out. And with Donald Trump, there is no straight reporting. There is hyperbole. And here's the thing, okay? You can say what the Huffington Post says at the end. He's a misogynist. He's a racist. He's a bigot. Fine. But give us the news. Give us perspective, because nobody is doing it right now. And the fact that this has been an issue for 12 minutes now is absolute madness. Can we then use the same words that Nazis in Germany used in the 30s and Mussolini used in Italy? Wait, what do you want to call it? Like, afternoon tea? Like, if it sounds like Nazism, if it walks like Nazism, if he makes threats the way he's making threats, I'm not exactly sure what you call it if you don't call it fascism.
Oh, Joe bounces around so much, and this is why every time I have a chance to talk about him, I do. Zero integrity. He went from, like, why are you comparing him to Hitler, to he's a fascist, to the clip that I showed you where he's saying that he's gonna execute people. He's gonna execute people, drive people out of the country. First of all, why are you gonna drive people out of the country if you're already down to execute people? Why are you gonna drive them out? Might as well just keep them here and go with option one. What are you doing? You know what I mean? He's just that erratic. That's how erratic Trump is. He just flips a coin and he goes, "Oh, heads, gotta execute you. Tails, get out of the country." That's how he does it. Joe Scarborough is so silly. And again, these guys, you know what? Let's just get to the next clip, because this is him bouncing back and forth on Joe Biden, who is now gone. So I cannot wait. It's Sunday right now. I can't wait until Monday for Joe Scarborough to come. I don't even know where he's going to be on this subject of Biden dropping out of the race. He might be like, this is the best thing that could happen. He might be like, I'm so sad right now, I'm going to cry. We just lost the greatest president of our lifetime. And I have to tell you guys the truth. He's cogent. He's cogent, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? He just had a bad day. I have no idea what he's going to say. And I don't think he has any idea what he's going to say either. He just walks in and he just crosses his fingers and goes, whatever they give me. Oh, please don't make me seem stupid today. That's all he does. Fingers crossed. Listen to this.
But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. This is a battle for the future of American democracy. And now is a good time. In June, thank God. In June, and not October, in June, this is the last chance for Democrats to decide whether this man we've known and loved for a very long time is up to the task. As for the rest of us, and that's Democrats, that's independents, that's Republicans of good faith. Let's be smart. Let's take a deep breath, and let's understand it's only July the 5th. Such an historic decision should not be made in haste. But I undersold.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, he goes from saying it's only July 5th to around July, I think it was July 18th, 17th. Him and Mika are sitting there and they're like, Trump's on the way to winning the election. It's like, what? I swear it's like these mainstream media heads. It's like they have memories of goldfish. They just show up at the office, just rich, $8 million a year. I hate that it's $8 million a year. Some people are like, hey, you're a hater. Yeah, I am. I hate that it's $8 million a year that this guy makes. And he just shows up to the office like a goldfish and he just goes, Biden's in? Okay. And he just goes and sits in front of his, well, Biden's the best thing I've ever seen. And then he comes in the next day, he goes, Biden's out? Okay. I don't know about this Biden character. It's crazy. Is he normal? he must just, when he's around his friends, he must be normal. I wonder if his friends go, hey, man, you just say random stuff all the time when you're on TV. You say pretty crazy stuff. I wonder if he's just like smoking a cigarette. He's like, that's right. We're on a yacht right now. What do you want me to say? We're on a yacht, okay? And every single one of us here is cogent, okay? So I'm not going to make up anything for you guys, and F you if you can't handle the truth. I'm a liar, okay? That must be. And his wife is just right next to him like. And they're like, geez, I don't want to end up like the intern. All right, fine. All right, good God, okay. I'm kidding about that. I don't even know why I keep bringing it up. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. He's a good man. He's a good man. It's just a weird thing. I won't bring it up anymore. It's too much. Should I do an episode? No, I won't do it. No. I'm not gonna do that. It's very odd. It's very no. It's a weird thing, right? It seems no. Let's not talk about it. Anyway. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is who do you think was funnier in that whole thing? Was it Sam Morill doing his bits, although that was a funny bit about the baby, and that was actually really funny, or is it Joe Scarborough? I think Joe Scarborough wins. Okay? I'm going to go out on a limb and F you if you can't handle the truth, okay? Joe Scarborough is cogent. All right? And I'd put him I'd put him at the top of comedians, okay? I think he's number one funniest comedian of all time, bar none. Better than Chappelle and Lenny Bruce, okay? All right? There's no one funnier on a TV screen than Joe Scarborough, okay? Seriously. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to bring you that episode real quick. Anytime I got a chance to talk about Joe Scarborough, I'm going to take it. So anyways, guys, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. It helps the channel tremendously. Other than that, I'm out.